Hi, I'm Claire from Plantpassion, and today I'm going to talk to you about dahlias. We grow most of our dahlias from tubers, and they grow really well here in our chalky, well-drained soil. And in 1 year we can get quite a large sized tuber like this one here. And so the majority of our tubers get split up. Now it's mid-April at the moment, and actually these tubers have stored quite well over winter here at the farm. However, they're not yet budding up. They haven't got eyes, which will usually come around where stems came out of last year. So we will wait another couple of weeks before we split these tubers up. Our last frost date here in Surrey is usually the last week of May. Sometimes it's a lot earlier than that, but we can't guarantee it. So we aim to be planting our dahlias out on the field the last week of May and the first week of June. And what we do is we split up these tubers and we pot them up, which is a lot of work, but it means that they get large enough to be planted out on the field and for the slugs not to be able to eat them straight away. So if we're counting back, if they're going out on the field the last week of May and the first week of June, the majority of our planting up of our tubers needs to be done the first week of May. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks for them to grow large enough to be able to plant them on the field. But in the meantime, we can actually take cuttings of some of our favourite dahlias to get more plants. Here's a dahlia that we grew last year. It wasn't actually what came out on what was shown on the label. It came out a lovely burnt orange colour, so we'd like more of them. And so what we've done is we've taken the tuber and we've planted it in a mushroom crate, and we've kept it inside so that it sprouted all these wonderful new shoots on it. And now we're going to take cuttings of it. It's important to note that if we take cuttings now in April, this is very unlikely to produce good flowers this year. It may produce some at the end of September and into October if we've got a good season, but because we're taking it quite late in the season, in mid-April, mostly we're looking for these cuttings to produce as small tubers that we can then grow next year for flowers. It's a way of bulking up our stock. If we wanted to grow our dahlias from cuttings, we'd need to have taken cuttings a month or so ago, which means you need specialist equipment to put the dahlias on heat so that they get to this stage a lot earlier in the year. And we don't have electricity at the farm, so it's not easy for us to do that here. So first of all, the compost. We're going to use a mixture of our peat-free compost, and we're going to sieve it to make sure that we've got a nice fine compost base. We're then going to make sure that our pot's ready to take our cuttings in, and we're going to fill the pot, and then we're going to tap it down and look how much the compost went down in the pot there. We've got to make sure that it goes, we've got no air pockets in there because the cutting needs to be able to root. So it needs to be in contact with the compost, not with any air pockets. We're then going to take our cuttings knife and we're going to choose a nice healthy shoot. I'm going to go for this one in here. And we don't want too long a shoot, and we certainly don't want to be having too much green stuff available because it will put all its effort into growing those leaves instead of growing roots. So we're going to cut off the stem here. Okay, so we've got a nice clean cut. If the cut isn't clean or isn't quite angled enough, then we can cut it again. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take off some of that green stuff. So I'm actually going to take these leaves off, and we just want the center piece because that's going to give us enough energy for the plant to create its roots without it trying to put its energy into growing the leaves. So we've now got a nice damp cutting, and we're going to use our dibber. We can use a pen or a label or a fancy dibber or a chopstick, they're quite good. And we're going to put it into the soil and then press it down. And now the wet cutting is in contact with the soil, and I always make sure that the compost and pot is ready before I take the cuttings. What I've found is that if I take the cuttings and then walk around with them or put them in a plastic bag, then the percentage that actually root is a lot lower. So just one more cutting to show you. Here you go, this nice one at the top here. You can see it's quite a short one, so that's a nice one to take. We want to take that off, and you can see we've got a nice clean cut at a slight angle. Take those side leaves off, make a hole, dib a hole, and then put it in and push it down. And now we'll water that and make sure that it's not got too much water or too little water, and within 3 to 4 weeks that will have rooted and given us a fresh plant. And later on in the year we may get flowers, but mostly we're looking for tubers to grow this variety from, to get lots more burnt orange dahlias for next year.